Well, was that a baseball game or a football game? The score reflects that of a football game, but it was indeed a baseball game as the Colorado Rockies beat the Boston Red Sox. They didn't just beat them, they pummeled them. Final score 20-7. 20-7. 20-7. The Rockies offense was absolutely electric today. 21 base hits, 20 runs scored. The Red Sox scored 7 runs, which 9 times out of 10 is probably good enough to win a ball game. But the Rockies were feeling themselves today. Benches cleared. It was a feisty one. What an exciting game. But the most important part, the Rockies, 4 wins, 2 losses, 2 series victories since the All-Star break. Turning a corner, competitive baseball, 500 club. We'll break it all down on today's episode of your Locked On Rockies POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Rockies POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Rockies POSTCAST. Hope everybody is doing well out there. I'm sure the Rocky fan is happy about this one as they take down the Boston Red Sox by a final score of 20-7, an absolute bludgeoning of the opponent today as the Rockies bounce back after a disappointing loss on Tuesday, but they do secure that series victory. You love to see that. And one of the more action-packed games that we've had from the Rockies here in recent memory. So we shall see what happens. But real quick, you guys, today's episode of your Locked On Rockies POSTCAST is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can do so at Media by AP. And also, make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel if you don't want to miss a live episode of this Locked On Rockies POSTCAST, or if you just want some additional visual Rockies content, make sure to subscribe to that Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. But what a game today. And why don't we start with the juiciness that was obviously the run scored, but the bench is clearing there in the middle of the game. And let's go ahead and kind of set the scene here for you guys, because, you know, the Rockies, I feel like they're not one of the more aggressive teams when it comes to, you know, getting in other teams' faces and whatever it might be. But that was not the case here today, as Cal Quantrill clearly was amped up, because let's set the scene. I wish I could show you the video here on the stream, but I'm not going to be able to do that. So here we are. We find ourselves in the, what is this? This is the top of the 4th inning, a 3-2 count. The Rockies at this point are already up 8-2. There's a runner on third for the Boston Red Sox, and Cal Quantrill gets Reese McGuire to fly out to end the inning. And as soon as the ball is hit into the air, when Cal Quantrill knows it's an out, he wasn't just chirping, he was beefing, for lack of a better phrase. And, you know, there's those lip readers out there on social media. I cannot repeat what the lip readers were interpreting, as there's some vulgar language involved. But if you're curious as to what, I don't really know what Cal Quantrill has against this guy, to be honest with you. But if you're curious as to what was said, go check that out on Twitter. Just look up benches clear or look up lip reading, whatever it might be. You'll be able to find it pretty easily there on social media. But long story short, at the end of the day, we have an absolute rage in the middle of the field. Although you got to give credit to the umpires. Look, I know the umpires catch a lot of flack for how they handle situations and whatnot. Just warnings issued to both sides. I don't think there was any punches thrown in this benches clearing brawl. I shouldn't even call it a brawl then, but it was pretty feisty. You know, a lot of chirping back and forth, a lot of yelling back and forth. The bullpens ended up coming out from the outfield to get involved in this. So definitely a heated moment, and probably a combination of the Red Sox not playing well and being buried 8-2 in the 4th inning of this ball game. But then also probably maybe some bad blood there between Cal Quantrill and the Boston Red Sox. But like, let me watch this real quick and I can do my best Cal Quantrill impersonation. I mean, he was chirping him all the way down the line. So let's see. Ball is pitched, ball is hit, and literally instantaneously, when the ball is off the bat, Cal Quantrill goes, yeah, like says like not just like a let's go, yeah, we got the out, like a got like a rage type of thing. Like he was animated, obviously trying to get this guy out. And it seemed more personal than it was, I got my job done. Like it seemed like there was some personal beef there with Cal Quantrill and the Boston Red Sox, in particular, Reese McGuire, who ends up flying out to center field. So again, I don't really know what to make of all that. Reese McGuire did chirp back, which inevitably led to the benches clearing. But shout out to the Rockies. They got Cal Quantrill back in the dugout, and that's all she wrote. So I wanted to start off with that. I needed to talk about the benches clearing brawl because I don't want to say I'm rooting for violence or anything like that, but, definitely get your popcorn ready. As a spectator, as someone who likes to be entertained, whenever the bench is clear, you're on the edge of your seat. And I remember I was in the office and I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then social media is having a field day with it and so on and so forth. But bench is clear, but the Rockies win this game 20-7. And let's dive into it. I try to stick away. I'm trying to get away from kind of doing this chronological type of show, but I feel like with a show like this, when the Rockies score as many runs as they do, you got to start somewhere, right? Because it's not like there was just one critical point in the game. I guess the critical point in the game was how it started, because the Rockies got out to an early lead and just quite frankly never looked back. And, you'll like I said, you'll take it any way you can get it. So Cal Quantrill sets down the first three Boston Red Sox hitters in order. And let me say this about Cal Quantrill as well. This is a guy who had been a little up and down here in the month of July. So nice to see him put forth a very nice start today. And we'll spend a majority of the second segment talking about the offense, but also Cal Quantrill's performance in particular. But the fiesta for the Rockies scoring today, it literally started right away because you had Ezequiel Tovar hitting leadoff today. And he was absolutely dialed in from the moment. 2-2 count. He rips his 17th home run, another moonshot to the bleachers in left field. And it wasn't quite as strong as we saw, against the Giants, I want to say on Saturday or Sunday, when he hit one to the concourse, like Nolan Arenado style. But Ezequiel Tovar on that 2-2 count, just absolutely jumping on the ball. So you love to see that. Gets the Rockies out to that early start, and it was Nick Pivetta on the mound, who's actually had some pretty decent numbers this season. And Nick Pivetta, I don't know if it was ghosts of Coors Field, playing at elevation in the back of his head, whatever it might be, or I don't know, maybe the Rockies woke up and ate their Wheaties today. Maybe they all slept really well. I don't know. But for whatever the reason, a Rockies offense that has been lifeless, for lack of a better phrase, for a majority of this season. Obviously, they've had their moments. They explode, absolutely explode for 20 runs today. And like I said, it started out with Ezequiel Tovar there in the bottom of the first inning, tatting that ball up for a solo shot to left field, his 17th home run of the season. And I want to just go on this tangent about Ezequiel Tovar because of how incredible this guy is. I mean, man, I don't know how the Rockies do it when it comes to finding these middle infielders, but boy, do they know what they're doing. Shout out to Ezequiel Tovar. He had a fantastic day today. But it didn't just stop there in the first inning. As the Rockies end up scoring a few more runs here. Let's see here. Jake Cave with a single. Brenton Doyle punched out. Ryan McMahon punched out. But then look at this. Chris Bryant with a single to center field, and then Brendan Rodgers with a double that brings around Jake Cave, who reached earlier, as well as Chris Bryant. So the Rockies in the middle of the bottom of the first inning, come out of the opening frames of the game with a 3-0 lead. So look, I like to pile on Chris Bryant. I know a lot of Rockies fans are frustrated with Chris Bryant. But at the end of the day, he helped, get this Rockies team off to a good start today. Ezequiel Tovar was the foundation of that, but Chris Bryant at least doing something positive for the Rockies today. So that's a win in and of itself. But the Rockies up 3-0 at the start of this game. And actually looking at it, the Rockies scored runs in every single inning of this game except for the fifth inning and the eighth inning, I should add. But the game was essentially unwritten at that, or already written at that point. So that's how we got the start for the Colorado Rockies. Ezequiel Tovar setting the table with that solo shot, followed by a couple of base hits from Jake Cave, Chris Bryant, and then Brendan Rodgers bringing him home with a 2 RBI double. And moving ahead here to the second inning, Ezequiel Tovar just doing his thing again. The Red Sox ended up scoring a run in the top of the second inning. But Jacob Stallings, who had some words to say after the game as well, he led off the bottom of the second inning with his 11th double of the year. And then Tovar doing what Tovar does, an RBI single to bring him home that made it 4-1 Rockies. And Brenton Doyle staying hot as well. He had an RBI single. So, Tovar brings a run home. He gets on base. Doyle brings Tovar home. It all comes around full circle. And Tovar and Doyle, if you're a regular listener of the Locked On Rockies postcast, those two dudes are the lifeline of this Rockies offense. When Brenton Doyle and Ezekiel Tovar are having good days, they're going to give themselves a chance to win. Because look, Ryan McMahon, lone all-star for the Rockies, he's been a little up and down. Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle are the guys that set the tone for this Rockies lineup. And I think you saw what happens when they do that here today as the Rockies win 20-7. So the Rockies at the end of the bottom of the second inning, already up 5-1. So you'll love to see that. But I'm already over on my ad break. So let me do that real quick so we can continue talking about the Run-a-Palooza as the Rockies score 20 runs in this ball game to beat the Boston Red Sox 20-7. It's like a football game. It's like a football score. But thankfully, the Rockies are the ones who are the beneficiaries of this, because it seems like the Rockies have been on the other side of a lot of these lopsided victories that have happened over the course of this season. So stick with us. If you're in the YouTube chat live, let me know what you guys think. I'll push your comments up on the screen as long as there's no profanity. Let me know what you think about this game. Let me know what you think about this Rockies team. They've won 4 of their last 6 games since coming out of the All-Star break. And we'll see what happens from here. But we'll hit a break. We'll hit a quick break, come back, and continue along with the conversation right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Stick with us, folks. It's a fun one today. All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Booking.com here real quick, guys, because I feel bad for any Red Sox fans that traveled from Boston to watch that today. But with summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you have always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. So we're talking about San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix, all incredible cities to stay. And if you're going out there for a Rockies game, whether they play the Pirates, what am I saying? The Padres, the Giants, which is actually where they're heading to now, the Dodgers, or the Diamondbacks, you're going to want to check out our friends over at Booking.com, because from hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the United States for your summer travel this Major League Baseball season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. And again, it is Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you, and you can become a big fan of your rival cities. All right, and let me also tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks here real quick, guys, because Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. And now you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Get in on the excitement and win up to 100 times your cash with the summer games going on only on Prize Picks. With Prize Picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer, you can make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats projections, and you are locked in. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered each and every week, from lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy with our friends over at Prize Picks. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do so at Media by AP. Also, make sure to smash that subscribe button on the brand new Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys as always. And a fun show today as the Rockies take down the Boston Red Sox 20-7. It was a football score for the Rockies in this one today. So we got one comment. Somebody's hyped up. Let's go. Let's go. Finally. I mean, is this the peak of Rocky season right now? A 20-7 Wednesday matinee victory over the Boston Red Sox. Again, guys, if you're watching this show live or if you're after the fact, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking about after the Rockies win this game in very impressive fashion, but also they win 4 of their first 6 games coming out of the All-Star break. So you absolutely love to see that. But the Rockies just, like we said, got out to a hot start in this one. Ezequiel Tovar doing his thing with that solo shot, and they did not look back. So let's fast forward here to the 3rd inning, where the Rockies added an additional 3 runs. So the Rockies scored 3 runs in the first, 2 in the second, and then 3 more here in the 3rd inning. And Chris Bryant led off the inning with an out, but then Brendan Rodgers hits a single. Michael Toglia, who has been a factor for this team. What up, my man? Usually listen to your postcast the day after. Good job, AP. My man, I appreciate you big time, man. It's always interesting. I never know when people listen. Well, I guess I would imagine that most of them listen the next day, just because the games are so late at night, or, I'm usually going live around 9:30, 10, but appreciate you, brother. It's always a fun time doing these shows. But looking at this game, it was just one of those days where the Rockies offense, like I said, they just ate their Wheaties today. So the Rockies get 2 runners on with 1 out. Jacob Stallings then delivers a 3-run bomb there in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and that puts the Rockies up 8-1. You'll take 8-1. You'll especially take it in the 3rd inning. And like I said, I didn't know how many more runs the Rockies were going to be able to score in this one. Hopefully they save some runs, for later on this, in their upcoming series against the Giants. But, Jacob Stallings has himself a day, and, with that 3-run shot. And then in the bottom of the 4th inning, which is what we alluded to, or I guess in the top of the 4th inning is when the bench is cleared, but the Rockies rally after the top half of the 4th inning and get right back to business. Brenton Doyle draws a leadoff walk. Ryan McMahon, come on down. He hits a 2-run shot. That puts the Rockies up 10-2. And then after a single from Chris Bryant, Brendan Rodgers, another single, you got 2 more runners on with 1 out. Michael Toglia, come on down again. His 4th double of the season brings in 2 more runs for the Rockies. And then after a Jacob Stallings ground out, Sam Hilliard is able to get Michael Toglia home with a sacrifice fly. The Rockies up 13-2. 13-2. We've still got 7 more runs to talk about in this postcast. After just 4 innings of play, they absolutely pounced on this Boston Red Sox team, pounced on the starting pitcher, Nick Pivetta, and pounced on the bullpen as well. Where has this been from the Rockies? And I'm not trying to say, they're not going to score 20 runs a game every game, whatever it might be, right? But at the end of the day, we know that Coors Field plays to the Rockies' advantage. We know that the Rockies have some decent hitters in the lineup. Where is the consistency? Like I said, you're not going to score that many runs every game, but can you score 5 or 6? Can you get a little bit more production out of your offense? Hopefully, this is a sign of things to come for the Rockies. They did have that winning month in May, and they beat some good teams in that month. The Rangers, the Phillies, series victories over both of those squads. It tells me that this team has what it takes. They've just got to figure out a way to be more consistent with it. So, not to just keep going inning by inning by inning by inning, but the Rockies, 5 runs there in the 4th inning. And then let's cap it off here with the 6th inning, where the Rockies put up 6 runs in this one. And really just, not that the game wasn't on ice already, but solidified their victory here. Chris Bryant with another single. Love to see that. Brendan Rodgers gets on with a fielder's choice. And then Jacob Stallings, after a flyout from Michael Toglia, an RBI double to left field, his 12th double of the season. The Rockies up 14-3 at this point. And then Sam Hilliard brings him home with a single of his own in this one. And then the icing on the cake for the 6th, or for the additional 4 runs in this inning, Brenton Doyle, his 17th home run of the season with the bases loaded. A grand slam for Mr. Brenton Doyle to left field. That puts the Rockies up 19-3. 19-3. That's how we got here, folks. And there's still 1 more run to go. But just aggressive hitting, the ball finding some gaps. Jacob Stallings, after the game, I was able to catch the first few minutes of the Rockies post-game show, was talking about, that the holes were just wide open today. Everybody seemed to, figure out a way to do something positive on offense. And you got to give the Rockies credit, a tip of the cap. They got the job done, when they needed to. So you love to see it. Like I said, hopefully this is a sign of things to come, but an explosive sixth inning for the Rockies with Jacob Stallings an RBI double, Sam Hilliard a single that brings home a run, and then Brenton Doyle with the chef's kiss, the cherry on top, a grand slam. I believe it may be his first career grand slam at the big league level as well. So Brenton Doyle stays hot, and he has evolved into probably the second best player on this Rockies team, not named Zeke. Honestly, that's like splitting hairs. Who's the better player, Brenton Doyle or Ezequiel Tovar? Obviously, two different types of players. One's an infielder, one's an outfielder. But when it comes to their demeanor at the plate, both of these guys right now are just locked in, or should I say locked on and ready to go. So you'll love to see that. And then the final run of the game for the Rockies in this one comes in the bottom of the seventh inning, and that comes via a sacrifice fly from Sam Hilliard, which brought Brendan Rodgers around to score. He hit a single with one out in the bottom of the seventh inning. So that is how the 20 runs were scored for the Rockies in this one. Just an onslaught of offensive production. And let's take a look at the box score now, because I believe every Rockies player that started in this game had a base hit. Ezequiel Tovar had 3 hits. Jake Cave had 1 hit. Brenton Doyle had 2 base hits. Ryan McMahon had a base hit. Let's see. Chris Bryant with 3 hits. That's got to be, man. What before today? When was how many games did it take for Chris Bryant to record 3 hits? When was the last multi-hit game for Chris Bryant? So maybe that's exactly what he needs. Maybe he needs when a pitcher's rehabbing, or like when Chris Bryant was coming back from injury, you don't just bring him right back up to the big leagues. You let him down at AA or AAA to get their confidence back, get their swing back, get their mechanics back, whatever it might be. Maybe this is like the Major League Baseball equivalent of that. Chris Bryant just needed the equivalent of a layup to get himself back in the groove, and he took advantage of a reeling Boston Red Sox team today. So 3 hits for KB, 4 hits for Brendan Rodgers. He led the way today with those 4 hits. Michael Toglia with 3 hits. Jacob Stallings with 3 hits. Sam Hilliard with a base hit. The Rockies had 21 hits and 45 at-bats in this game. They had usually the Rockies, 30, 31, 32 at-bats is usually where they end up in the time that I've been doing these postcasts. 45. They had an additional 15 at-bats in this one. I mean, looking at it, let's see. Tovar came up to bat 6 times today. Cave 5 times. Doyle 4 times. McMahon had 4 plate appearances. Chris Bryant had 6 plate appearances. Obviously, there's some walks to mix in here as well, which is why Cave technically only has 5s in the statistics book here. But again, 21 hits, 20 RBI. They generated 2 walks, and somehow, this is the funny part, they still struck out 10 times. The Rockies struck out 10 times in this game. Double-digit strikeouts, and they still scored 20 runs. It's Coors Field Classic. That's what I call games like this. A Coors Field Classic. When things are just so wacky and all over the place, and it just doesn't make sense. I used to umpire youth ball. This is like a 9U game, right? Like I remember like umpiring some of these games where it's like, I don't think these guys know how to get an out. I don't think they understand, and they're children, of course, but like, that was the type of aura, the type of energy that I got from this game, where it was like, all right, let's take everything we know about baseball and just throw it out the window, because the Rockies just pounced on this Boston Red Sox team today. You absolutely love to see it. All right, let's hit our final break, because I want to keep talking about this. What a game, man. I just wish they could be oh man, I love doing these postcasts, but imagine if this team was competitive. I'm not even saying that they're in the playoff race, but imagine if they could, every other day or every day you feel like you have a chance to win. And look, I didn't expect the Rockies. I liked the Rockies today. And what did I say at the end of last night's postcast? Let's see. And also, like, you could tell when I'm excited, because I start, I'm like, oh, all animated. I talk a little faster. So, at the end of the day, just a good victory, a clean victory for this Rockies team as they explode for 20 runs. And I am just hopeful. Like I've said, guys, last year was a total wash season for the Rockies, and they may very well lose 100 games again this year. That very well may be the case. But this year's team is different. And maybe the record won't state it. Maybe the losses are just as ugly, if not uglier. But this Rockies team, they've got some young juice that I'm excited about. So, all right, let's hit the break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show. Rockies win today 22-7. All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Game Time here today, folks, because you're going to want to get your tickets through our friends over at Game Time, because Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets, and there's a ton of different features that you're going to want to check out, guys. There are last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. Their flash deals are incredible as well, where fans can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. The zone deals are awesome too. You can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats for you. Plus, this is my favorite feature, the all-in pricing. You can toggle this on the app and it shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkouts. Plus, you can get a view from your seat with their panoramic seat view in the app, and the lowest ticket price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time's ticket coverage as well. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope everybody is hanging in there after the Rockies, exploded for 20 runs today, 21 base hits, and they take down the Boston Red Sox by a final score of 20-7. You absolutely love to see it. And the other thing that I like, I know it's exciting when you're able to score this many runs. It's exciting when you're able to win a series. But I love the Bud Black's approach in the post-game press conference, because after the game, Buddy was very reserved, rather calm, and was talking about it. It's just nice to see things starting to come together. It's nice to see the offense come to life. It's nice to see the pitching staff come together. And, at the end of the day, I have not touched on Cal Quantrill outside of the benches clearing brawl. He was sharp today. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. His ERA down to 4.09. So another quality start today from Mr. Cal Quantrill. And, you got Kyle Freeland back. You're hoping that German Marquez, this stint on the injured list, is not going to be anything crazy. And, things are, like I said, hopefully rounding into form for this Rockies team. But nice to see Cal Quantrill put forth yet another quality start for this team. And we mentioned it to start the show. Obviously, that benches clearing brawl at the top of the 4th inning. And look, you never want to see players get hurt. You don't want to see total nastiness throughout the game. But for a guy like Cal Quantrill, who's kind of been through the ringer and has been up and down in his career, I like the emotion. And I especially like the emotion from a guy who's playing on a team like the Rockies that are, checks notes, 38-65, not even close to sniffing a spot in the postseason. I always talk about these guys care. It's not as doom and gloom in the clubhouse as maybe people think it is. It's not like these guys are just showing up and going through the motions. Even when they lose bad, these guys are still, putting forth effort. They play this game with their heart on their sleeve and whatnot. So nice to just see it all kind of pay off in spades for the Rocks today, but in particular, starting pitcher Cal Quantrill. But like I said, guys, this game had absolutely everything. It had runs scored. It had good pitching from the Rockies. It had a benches clearing situation. So action-packed from beginning to finish, with Ezequiel Tovar starting the game off in the bottom of the 1st inning for the Rockies with that leadoff home run. You had a grand slam from Brenton Doyle. What didn't this game have? I guess a perfect game or a no-hitter, right? But you're never going to get that when the team scores 20 runs. But this is one of those wacky Coors Field classics, as I like to say, as the Rockies just absolutely unload on the Boston Red Sox today, and now have made it 4 wins in their last 6 games, looking good here coming out of the All-Star break. But looking ahead here to what's up next here for the Rockies, no starting pitcher announced for the Giants yet for Friday's game. Oh, actually, the Rockies have themselves a nice day off, which means I get myself a day off as well from the postcast. Love that. So we'll see what San Francisco ends up doing here, but it'll be a 4-game set in San Fran. Remember, the Rockies over the weekend took 2 of 3 from this very Giants team. So the starting pitchers in line for this one, Kyle Freeland and Ryan Feltner. Freeland will start on Friday. Feltner will start on Saturday. And it appears, there's a double header here as well, it appears. What is this? 2 games apparently scheduled for Saturday. So a TBD listed for the starters for both teams here on that second game of the doubleheader on Saturday. And it doesn't look like a time has been announced for that one either. So we'll see how that plays out. But we know for a fact Kyle Freeland, Ryan Feltner, and Austin Gomber will all be tabbed for the Rockies in this one. So we shall see how all of that plays out. But thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode of the Locked On Rockies postcast. Wacky one, energetic one, a fun one, probably one that we won't do again, at least for maybe a couple of years. Like I don't know how many times. This is the Rockies tied their franchise high for runs scored in the game with 20. So we'll see how all of that plays out moving forward. But all in all, a good victory for Colorado today. They improved to 38-65, and now they've got themselves a series with their division rivals in the San Francisco Giants. But as always, guys, make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. You can also follow me on social media at Media by AP, but it is a victory show. The Rockies beat the Boston Red Sox in convincing fashion by a final score of 20-7. Enjoy your Wednesday, folks.